The Russian army has broken through into Kupyansk. Russia has gone all in on the Zaporizhzhia front. This morning has been eventful, with significant developments on multiple fronts. The most important event, of course, is the breakthrough in the city of Kupyansk, a city the Russian army withdrew from in 2022 during Ukraine's counter-offensive. Now, a breakthrough has occurred from Lyman I, with a column entering the city. We'll discuss how this happened and what it could lead to. There are also reported changes in the Chasiv Yar direction, but we'll talk about everything in detail. So let's get right into the map. Here's the Kharkiv region, and here is the city of Kupyansk and the surrounding area. Here's what happened. A powerful push from two columns moving from Lyman I into Kupyansk. Here, you can see the movement from this point to this location. Now let's talk about the composition of the two columns. From Lyman I, two columns advanced. The first column included two tracked vehicles, BMPs, and a tank. The exact composition of the second column is unknown at the time of recording, as it was advancing after nightfall. There's currently a silence regime from the Russian side on this front, meaning no information is being provided from them, and most information is coming from Ukrainian sources. Now for the details of the entry into Kupyansk. On the morning of November 13th, yesterday, a massive artillery preparation was carried out from Russian positions, which I also mentioned in my Telegram channel. Strikes targeted this area, the territory of the sugar plant, which was the objective of the assault groups. Let's go over the outcomes. At least one tracked vehicle reached Zaporizhzhia Street without interference, but near Nekrasova Street it was hit. However, approximately 15 soldiers managed to disembark and secure positions in nearby houses. Following the tracked vehicle, a tank managed to break through to the same street, slightly to the north. Thus, as of the morning of November 14th, we can confidently state that Russian forces have secured positions near the sugar plant in Kupyansk. Now, reinforcement groups are being sent from Lyman I. This breakthrough, despite losses and partial setbacks, demonstrates that the Ukrainian armed forces' defenses in northern Kupyansk are not solid, with gaps that allow Russian units to penetrate. This is in the left bank part of Kupyansk, and the development of such events was anticipated sooner or later. Now, regarding battles in the Kharkiv region, let's move to Pervomaiska. After this location came under Russian control, the Russian armed forces continued to push southward toward the settlement of Kupyansk. The movement has already reached this area, and now fighting is taking place in the northern part of the village. Specifically, 12 buildings in this village are now under Russian control. However, battles are ongoing for each house, making the advancement difficult for Russian units. Now, let's move to the Chasiv Yar direction, where there has also been a shift in the front line. In Chasiv Yar itself, there have been no changes. Frontal assaults have been unsuccessful, so the Russian army has ceased them. Initial advances on the flanks have stalled, and efforts to replicate strategies used in Vuhledar or Kurakov have not succeeded for some reason. However, changes did occur yesterday, albeit south of Chasiv Yar itself. Here, elements of the 6th Motor Rifle Division have breached the Ukrainian Armed Forces defense around the Siversky-Donetsk-Donbass Canal, located south of the road to Kostiantynivka. Here's the highway's location, and here's where the advance was recorded, with the movement occurring across a broad front spanning about 2.5 kilometers. For Chasiv Yar directly, this doesn't present an immediate threat, but it does pose a serious risk to the Ukrainian forces near Toretsk. Let me explain. Here is the breakthrough point, and here is Toretsk. If the Russian units continue advancing and reach the settlement of Oleksandro-Shultina, then it's only about 10 kilometers directly to Toretsk. The main risk here is the potential to cut off this road, with artillery targeting northern Toretsk and nearby settlements. But that's not all. The worst outcome for the Ukrainian armed forces would be if this advance shifts toward Ivanopil. In this case, the interest lies not in Ivanopil itself, but in the road junctions south of the settlement. Should this occur, the Ukrainian garrison in Toretsk would face a true catastrophe, as both the main highway and railway would be cut off, leading to the operational encirclement of Toretsk with a complete severance of supply lines, essentially a death sentence. Now, let's say a few words about the situation in Kurakov. The territorial defense has left the city, with only the 79th Brigade remaining. Moving further north, the primary fighting is taking place over Solntsevka. This battle is nearly concluded, with about 95% of the settlement under Russian control, leaving only one street still held by Ukrainian forces. There's no real point in defending it further, and Solntsevka provides a direct path south to Stary Turny. Stary Turny, as we've discussed before, signifies full control over the dam and northern logistics. Additionally, fighting continues west of Selidov for control of Pustinka and in the northern parts of Hrihorivka and Petrovka. Should these settlements fall under Russian control, their forces will likely continue advancing toward Shevchenko, which is effectively the southern suburb of Pokrovska, and the fighting for Pokrovsk itself is not far off. In the southern part of Kurakov, we've reached the culmination of battles for control over villages in the valley of the Suky Yali River, southeast of Uspenivka. The enemy, 79th Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, may soon find themselves encircled, although they are already beginning to withdraw. However, some may not have time to escape. Yesterday, our units finished clearing the enemy from Dalny. With one more push from the north, the trap will close. Also yesterday, our forces resumed attacks west of Trudov along the road to Uspenivka, achieving some success. A key enemy stronghold was brought under our control. If our units can capitalize on this success and reach the river, then a southern encirclement trap for the Ukrainian units will also close. The morning of November 14th, on the southern Kurakov front, the area near Velika Novosilka, the assault on Novodarivka is underway. Yesterday, our units continued advancing, driving the enemy from the last position between Novodarivka and Rivnopil, and began storming Novodarivka. It's still unclear how this battle ended, but I'm very hopeful for our forces. If successful, they would take a northern stronghold of the enemy near the village, potentially leading to a breakthrough in this line of defense. This is the final line of defense before reaching the Huliai-Pola-Velika Novosilka highway. The next line, which is the most fortified, constructed by the enemy back in 2023, runs right along the highway. Breaking through it would allow us to enter Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. Despite being only 8 kilometers away, as of yesterday, the challenge remains considerable here.